It's time for Morton in the Morning on WVBF, a weekly get-together with your friends at Morton Hospital. Coming to you every Wednesday at 11:05 a.m., Morton in the Morning brings you full access to the latest hospital news and health information. Stay in the know about important health and wellness topics, new doctors and services, and upcoming events. And get to know the team at your community hospital. And now, Morton in the Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to this week's episode of Morton in the Morning. I'm your host, Julie, and we are coming to you right here from Morton Hospital, your community hospital in Taunton. And our show airs every Wednesday at 11:05 a.m. right here on WVBF, your hometown radio station. We hope that you enjoyed last week's show, which our special guest, Melissa, talked about the importance of sleep for your health and how to get a better night's sleep. She shared some great tips. If you missed that show and want to listen, you can find the recording of that show on our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA, and you will find that. We posted that over the weekend, this past weekend, so check it out there. And we post all of our new shows on our Facebook page, so if you ever miss any, then you can go right onto our Facebook page and catch up and hear some great tips on some great topics. Today we have another exciting topic for you lined up. We're going to be talking about, the summer heat and how to protect your skin and avoid summer injuries and wounds. Before we do, and before we invite our special guest on, I just want to share an update that the 2022 Best of the Best Community Choice Awards is back up and running for the Metro South region. If you remember, for the 2021 awards, Morton Hospital actually took home 3 awards. We won for the categories of Best Hospital, Best Audiologist, Best Hearing Aid Center, Best Physical Therapist, and Best Weight Loss Center. That was so exciting. We were so proud of our team for taking home those recognitions, and we truly appreciate our community voting for us in those categories. So 2022 is back up and running, and the nomination period actually runs through June 19th. To find that contest, you can go either on the Taunton Gazette website or the Brockton Enterprise website, and they should have some little ads on the page if you scroll down that says Best of the Best Contest. And if you click on that, you just have to provide your email and your information, and you can start nominating or writing in different businesses and organizations in the various categories that they have. So we would love for you to hop on there and nominate Morton Hospital in those same categories: the hospital category, the audiologist category, the hearing aid center category, physical therapy clinic category, and the weight loss center category. You just type in our name and click submit or nominate, and your nomination is locked in. And then after the 19th, there will be a voting period, and we hope you'll return back, and hopefully we have made it to the voting stage, and we can bring home some more awards to recognize our incredible staff here at Morton Hospital. So again, go to the Taunton Gazette website, the Brockton Enterprise website, look for the Best of the Best contest, write in Morton Hospital as your nomination in those various categories under the health and beauty sections, and just nominate us. You can also find the link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA, and we would love to have you nominate us to help us recognize our staff here at Morton Hospital for all of their hard work and the great work that they do for our patients and community. So let's jump into today's show. We have an exciting topic for you, and as we welcome our next guest. Okay, so today, really excited, we have a returning guest to our show. Her name is Jill Trelease, and she is the Program Director for our Center for Wound Healing here at Morton Hospital. Thanks for being with us, Jill.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here.
Yes, so tell us about yourself and your role here at the hospital.
I'm the Program Director at the Center for Wound Healing and Hyperbaric Medicine at Morton Hospital. I am also a nurse practitioner, so I'm a provider in the clinic, and I have the wonderful additional role of being an inpatient consultant for wound and ostomy care as well.
Great. And how long have you been here?
I have been here, that's a really good question. I think a little over 7 years at this point.
All right. I know that when we interviewed last time, this was probably over a year ago now, we interviewed you and another member of your team and one of the providers, and we were also talking about when the center actually started here at Morton Hospital. Do you remember when that was, in the 2000s?
It was early 2000. It's been a long time. I think when I took the center over, it had been here almost 12 years at this point. So it's been a while. So a lot of experience in this clinic. A lot of experience.
And when you came here, you brought a lot of experience as well, because I know that you had wound center experience, and you actually helped to start the one, I believe, at St. Anne's Hospital?
That is correct.
Great. All right. So tell us about our wound center. What exactly do we do there?
Well, at the wound center, we heal wounds. I know that seems kind of a funny and tricky thing to say, but there's all kinds of wounds, and as people live longer, it's amazing the amount of damage that we can do to ourselves, whether it's from an injury or it's from an illness, or maybe it's from a treatment we're getting for an illness. So the wound clinic helps these people to heal. We help people to heal those issues so they can have quality of life. Now, the other thing we do in addition to wound healing is we have 2 hyperbaric medicine chambers, which can also be used for wound healing, but they can also be used for other conditions, such as effects from radiation. Maybe a patient is getting treatment for cancer. It could be used for a bone infection that may not be healing. And there are even cases of sudden hearing loss that can be remedied by use of the chamber.
Okay.
So we offer a lot of different services. And there is a third piece. I am an ostomy trained nurse practitioner. So if there's a patient out there who has a new urostomy, colostomy, or ileostomy, and they're looking for someone local to give them tips or maybe help them with supplies, I'm definitely your person.
Great. And we recently celebrated Wound, Ostomy, and Continence Nurses Week, and we celebrated you. So thank you for bringing that expertise to the hospital as well. So I have a lot of questions for you, Jill. If our listeners are just tuning in today, we are sitting here with Jill Trelease, who is the Program Director for our Center for Wound Healing here at Morton Hospital. And we're talking about the wound center, but we'll also be talking about the great topic of, summer skincare and how to protect your skin from wounds and injuries that are common in the summer months. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, we do have to take our first break of today's show, but Jill is going to be with us for the rest of the show because, again, we have lots of great content to discuss with her, and I have a lot of good questions. So before we take our break, just a reminder how our listeners can reach out to us here at Morton in the Morning. You can email us anytime at mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. And we'd be happy to have you reach out to share any feedback about our shows, if you have any follow-up questions about our show, or if you want to hear any specific topics on our upcoming shows. We'd love to take your suggestions, any health and wellness topics that you'd like to hear about. We're trying to feature topics that our community want to hear about, that the general public has interested in. We're trying to do timely topics, and that's why today we're talking about, the summer heat and protecting your skin. So give us a shout out, Morton in the Morning at steward.org, just to share feedback or to let us know what you want to hear about on our upcoming shows. So it is time for that first break of today's show, but when we come back, we will be here with Jill Trelease of our Center for Wound Healing, talking all about wound care and summer skin safety tips. Stay tuned. We will be right back after this short break.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
Morton Hospital's nationally accredited Center for Weight Control has grown with the addition of Dr. Deepthi De Silva, our new Director of Medical Weight Loss Management. Our center now offers high-quality medical and surgical weight loss options close to home, with medical weight loss appointments now available in Taunton and Middleborough. To learn if you qualify for weight loss surgery or medical weight loss and to schedule a consultation, call our Center for Weight Control at 508-301-2434.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome back to Morton in the Morning. Thanks for hanging in there while we took our first commercial break. We have a great show for you today. Our special guest is Jill Trelease. She is the Program Director for our Center for Wound Healing here at Morton Hospital. She is also a nurse practitioner and a wound, ostomy, and continence nurse, so she brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our clinical team here and to our Center for Wound Healing team. So today, we have a great topic. We're actually going to be talking about, summer skincare. So if you're just tuning in, hang tight. We'll get into that topic in just a few. But I just want to, learn a little bit more about our center, just because if somebody's out there has never heard of it, I want to hear more about the hyperbaric oxygen chambers, because I think that's something that's really unique here. So how do those actually work? What are they?
So the hyperbaric chambers are two large chambers that are covered in acrylic, which looks like glass, and a patient can go in the chamber and they breathe 100% oxygen. Because believe it or not, the air we breathe is not 100% oxygen. But why does that make a difference? It makes a difference because when the body has an opportunity to have more oxygen, it helps with getting rid of bacteria. It helps with wound healing, developing new cells, not only in the skin and the tissue, but also in our bones. So there's a lot of pieces that really unfold in what seems like a pretty straightforward treatment. Because what happens is when a patient does the hyperbaric treatment, they get on a stretcher, we put them in the chamber where they can see a TV and they can watch either a movie or maybe they just want to go to sleep. And that's what they do. They have to do nothing except lie there and enjoy the peace and quiet.
Okay, and they feel nothing.
Okay.
Is it different, breathing in 100% oxygen? Will they feel a little bit differently, in terms of their respiration or?
Well, that's a really good question. They won't feel different. What they will feel that will be interesting is it's like going up in a plane. Sometimes when you're in a plane, you'll feel that change of pressure. And that's what you'll feel initially when you start your treatment and when you finish your treatment.
Okay. And the hyperbaric chambers, so really I'm sure when patients come in, not everyone necessarily needs to go in the chambers, right? You just really personalized. It's really meant for specific cases.
This is true. We would love to put everyone in the chamber. In fact, we are constantly hoping that someday the New England Patriots will all decide that they want to dive here and everyone will be very excited.
That would be great.
But no such luck as of yet.
Okay, so we know it's you at our clinic, at our wound center, but we actually, it's sort of, if you walk in through the hospital, our cafeteria, the clinic is right across from the cafeteria. There's one door, but you don't realize how big it is inside and how many people are actually working in there. So tell us about the team that works in the center.
Well, we have a great team. We have 3 absolutely fantastic medical assistants, one who is certified in hyperbaric, the other 2 who cross-train. They can cover the hyperbaric chambers. They may meet you at the front desk when you're checking in as a patient, and they help us with our patient care. Then we also have a wonderful seasoned nurse, Linda, who's been with us for a long time, who has retired but still comes to visit us once a week to help with patients. And then I have 2 wonderful other nurses as well. In addition to them, I have 3 podiatric surgeons, Elena Manning, Michael Skonieczny, and Aaron Chemensky, a general surgeon, Bruce Bodner, and a physician with emergency room background medicine, and that's Warren Russell.
Excellent. And we often see our own, very own Dr. Charlie Thayer over in the clinic as well. Now, does he have a title there, or just because he's the chief medical officer, he sort of observes and oversees all different medical areas?
I would say that Dr. Thayer's role in our clinic is really chief snack officer.
Oh,
he's
okay.
there to ensure that we have the proper number of carbohydrates in the back room.
Excellent. Well, that's really important for wound healing, right?
Yes, but you bring up a great point, because every now and then if we have a case or a question, Dr. Thayer is always in the area to give his opinion, and he has years of experience.
Absolutely. He is very present here at the hospital. It's pretty much his second home. So sounds like you have a great team over there. And again, some of the more common issues that you see coming in are...
Well, actually, we see varied wounds, but I think some of the more common ones would be diabetic wounds, wounds that can happen because your circulation is compromised. We see traumatic wounds. If you have a fall or maybe a burn, it is the barbecue season. We see a lot of those wounds.
Okay.
But primarily, I think circulation and diabetic wounds are really what we see most.
Okay. And what is it about, a wound in a diabetic patient that makes that wound more difficult to heal?
Well, when you have diabetes, it affects your body's ability to use the nutrients properly, to do things like have cell division, which, if you remember back in those really boring classes, and I am going to offend every biology teacher out there right now, they were fabulous classes. Cell division is really important to healing, and when you have diabetes, it impacts the body's ability to divide cells at a decent rate. It slows everything down. So coming to the wound center, we look at those things. We look at your blood sugar, we look at your lifestyle, so we can come up with a treatment to help you heal quicker.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into, I think this is a very timely topic because summer is just right around the corner. Thank goodness the warmer weather is finally here. And I want to talk about, you mentioned one of them, but what are some of the more common, skin wounds or injuries that you see or that people are more susceptible to in the summertime?
Well, actually, according to the American Academy of Dermatology, some of the biggest summer skin problems are as follows: prickly heat or heat rash, acne breakouts, dry irritated skin, or hair follicle infections that are known as folliculitis. So I bet the next question you want to know is, what can you do to protect from these things?
I do, but I do have one more question first.
Sure.
What's the first one that you mentioned before heat stroke?
Prickly heat or heat rash.
Oh, okay.
It's actually prickly heat or heat rash.
Okay.
Acne breakouts, which can affect you at all ages.
Yep.
Dry irritated skin, which does occur because we go into a lot of pools and we swim in the summer.
Yes.
And then hair follicle infections.
Yeah, you would think in the summer, it's hot, you think your skin might be drier, but that is obviously
not the case.
Not the case. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So tell us about how do we protect our skin?
So the key to good skin protection is really to break it down to the basics. First of all, try to avoid wearing tight clothing. Wear something that's loose fitting, that's temperature appropriate. Every now and then I'll see someone jogging in 90-degree weather in a sweatshirt. Don't be that person. Don't do that. That's not good for you.
Okay.
The second is when clothes become soiled with sweat, wash them and wash yourself. Keeping your skin clean and dry really prevents your pores from clogging, and it can prevent further problems. The third thing is to make sure that you use a lightweight, non-fragranced moisturizer. My favorite is coconut oil. A little bit goes a long way. Put it on after you have a shower or a bath. It absorbs nicely in your skin. Wear sunscreen. Even if it looks horrible outside, wear it before you go outside, but make sure it's a broad spectrum, SPF 30, and if you're going to go swimming, make sure it's water resistant. And then the last one, which a lot of people don't think about, is hydration. Drink plenty of water, 6 to 8 glasses throughout the day.
Okay. What is it about the summer that causes wounds to just heal slower?
Well, there's a few things. When the skin is hot, things can become uncomfortable, they can slide around, clothing can go back and forth, you can get friction. It can be something as simple as sitting in a car that's hot, the surfaces are hot, you're more subject to skin irritation and burns. I talked about dehydration, and one of the reasons that can be a real problem is that water is a huge component of our body. And when we don't have as much water, it actually reduces our ability to circulate oxygen and nutrients.
Okay.
And this really impacts our ability to keep nice, healthy, intact skin.
Okay. And, another area, you mentioned you had a few podiatrists, podiatric medicine specialists or surgeons. And I would imagine that in the summer months, foot injuries are more prevalent, given a lot of people wear sandals, flip-flops, walking around on the beach. There might be broken glass, things like that.
So absolutely, there are a lot of things that you can do to protect your feet in the summer. But the most basic thing you can do is to keep your feet covered. I know it seems fantastic to want to walk barefoot in the sand, feel the warmth, but you just don't know what's under that sand.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the water. A lot of people don't like water shoes, but it's amazing the little creatures that are out there in the sand that you could step on. And we do see a few patients every summer, some of them local, some of them have gone on vacation, who come back with foot injuries because they were barefoot, went into the water, and stepped on something they didn't expect.
Okay.
So one of the big recommendations from our podiatrists is keep your feet covered.
Okay.
Sandals are great. Try to find something with support so that your foot is comfortable and keeps it nice, clean, and dry.
Now, to me, thinking about it, it seems like, a foot injury or a foot wound might be harder to heal just because, you're always walking around on it. Like, is that the case? I mean, are they harder to heal?
I think absolutely they are, simply because, we don't realize it, but our feet, that's what gets us from one place to the next. Yep. So you really have to think about taking care of your feet, because when you have an injury, sometimes it means we have to take you off your feet for a while. And no one likes to do that, especially in the summer when they want to be relaxing and vacationing.
Right. Okay. All right. So, a lot of great points. So in summary, what is the advice that you have, to overcome these summer challenges as far as, wound and skin injury prevention?
Well, for patients who are already experiencing a wound and have a dressing, one of the changes that we may need to make is we may need to change the dressing more frequently to prevent less irritation around the skin. The other recommendation, which is pretty straightforward, I think, is try to stay in a cool environment. If it's extremely hot outside, try to limit the amount of time you spend outside, because after a while, you just get uncomfortable, you get sweaty, you can get dehydrated, and you can put yourself at a higher risk for developing an injury or worsening one that you may already have.
All right, well, good advice. So let's talk about, in the moment, someone, steps on something they shouldn't, gets a wound, what should they do immediately, like for at-home treatment?
Well, the first thing for best at-home treatments would really be keep it clean and free of debris. Saline is a great cleanser, and it can easily be purchased over the counter at any of your local stores for less than $5. And a lot of them have those spray salines, so you can spray it right on there, and the force of the spray helps to remove additional debris.
Now, is saline, a lot of people think it's just salt water. Is that accurate?
It's essentially salt water, but it's not the salt water you find at the beach, so don't confuse the two. You want the saline in the can, not the saline at the beach.
Can you make your own saline at home?
I'm sure you can, but I do not have the technical recipe. Although, for those of you who are computer savvy, I'm sure there is a YouTube video out there.
Probably. And the reason I ask that is because oftentimes, they say with sore throat, gargle with salt water, because that maybe will help heal it. That's something I do at home, or maybe that's not even really recommended these days anymore. But
it could be, but again, YouTube is our friend.
Saline is better. Okay, what else?
So for a topical antibiotic, bacitracin, very easy to purchase, right over the counter, and that can be applied to an open wound.
Okay.
But I think the most important thing to bear in mind for at-home treatments, once you've cleaned the wound and you've put your topical application of ointment on there, keep it covered. Keep it covered. Band-Aids are your friends. You want to make sure that if you're going to have an open area, the last thing you want to do is expose it to the chance of getting some bacteria in there and ending up with an infection and causing more damage.
All right. Well, great advice. Thank you very much for going over that. Believe it or not, we are just about halfway through today's show, and unfortunately that means we do have to take another break, but we are not done here with Jill. We have a lot more topics to discuss. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about, at-home treatment of wounds and injuries, but also when you should see a medical professional. And then we have some fun questions to ask of Jill, sort of some myth-buster questions or fact or fiction questions, relevant topics that hopefully everyone out there can relate to. So we have a lot more great content to cover. Stay with us, and we will be right back after this second short break.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
From all of us at Morton Hospital, thank you to our community for voting for us in the 2021 Best of the Best Community Choice Awards. We're honored to have been voted Best Hospital, Best Audiologist, Best Hearing Aid Center, Best Physical Therapy, and Best Weight Loss Center in the Metro South region. Learn more about our services and quality achievements at mortonhospital.org and follow us on Facebook to stay up to date on what's happening at your award-winning community hospital.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the second half of today's Morton in the Morning show. I'm so excited about today's show. I've learned a lot already because we have a great expert with us. Sitting here with us is Jill Trelease. Jill is the Program Director for our Center for Wound Healing right at Morton Hospital. It's located right across the street from our cafeteria if you've passed by or if you're a patient who frequents the wound center. Jill and her team do an amazing job. They care for a lot of, non-healing wounds, a lot of chronic wounds, and also other conditions in our hyperbaric oxygen chambers. Today we're talking about the summer heat and summer heat safety tips, in terms of, skincare and wound and injury prevention. And we've also already covered a lot of great information. Before we took our break, we were talking a bit about, at-home treatment. If you have like a new scrape or cut, a wound on your skin, what should you immediately do at home? And we were talking about the importance of using saline to clean that wound. What are some good Band-Aids? Because I often find they just don't stick on. They slide around, like you said, especially if it's on like your feet or like an area that's like, a curve or like a crevice. It's so difficult. Do you just have to keep changing it?
Sometimes you have to keep changing it. Everyone is kind of different that way. Everyone's skin is different in how they respond to an adhesive. Mm-hmm. I think a cloth bandage actually maintains the longest. But ideally, you should be changing a bandage every day because if you leave it in place too long, your wound may get macerated, you might have some irritation, and you won't be aware of it if you don't take it off. So the good rule of thumb is to change it every day.
Okay. All right, so that is, at-home treatment. Now, when should someone seek care from a medical professional, as far as taking care of their wound? What are the signs or symptoms that, you really need to go see somebody and you can't be taking care of this anymore on your own?
Okay, well, the first thing to think about is how long have you had the wound? If it's been more than a couple of days and that wound is looking red, it's looking inflamed, there might be a smell or some drainage coming from there that is off color, that is the time to seek professional advice. Go to your PCP. Maybe you can go to an urgent care. Maybe you can call the wound center and bypass those people altogether, and we'll be there to help you. But really, that's when you should think about it. So if you have an injury, maybe you scraped yourself against a door. You put a Band-Aid on it. You've done all the things we've talked about, saline, keeping it clean and dry, some bacitracin. A few days later, you're just noticing redness, this pain, it doesn't smell good. Just give us a call. We'll get you in.
Okay.
And we'll take good care of you.
Okay. So redness, pain, smell.
Those are all symptoms of infection.
Okay. All right, and then of course I'm sure if it starts to get really, more painful, very uncomfortable to deal with, it's not going to get better, right? If it's getting worse, it's not going to get better.
That's absolutely true.
All right. So, I wrote down some other questions that I was thinking about, and sort of like, rapid fire, or maybe we could, consider them, debunking myths, but just a few questions to go over, common misconceptions. So, which is better for cleaning a wound, alcohol or hydrogen peroxide, and why? And I think you sort of already shared the answer in what you recommended earlier, but a lot of people use these products, so that's why I wanted to clarify.
They do. They use them all the time, and that's a great question. And the answer is neither.
Okay.
Both of those products are incredibly drying to skin, and they can actually cause more damage to the underlying tissue.
Really?
So you really want to not use alcohol or hydrogen peroxide at all.
So how come we're always told to clean it with hydrogen peroxide? And that just sticks in my mind as something that's always been. It hurts. It burns when you pour it on.
It does, which should be a sign. That's not a good thing to put on you. If it hurts, leave it alone. I think we were all brought up like that.
Yeah.
Hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, that's what you did. But truthfully, what we found is that they actually cause more damage to the underlying cells.
Okay.
So even though they're still on the shelves, don't get them.
Okay.
Use saline. You'd be better off actually using tap water to clean a wound out than you would using alcohol or hydrogen peroxide.
Okay. I'm glad I asked that, because hopefully, again, we've debunked a myth that is out there that many people have always believed in. I'm going to stop using hydrogen peroxide to clean any cuts and wounds, because I always do. I feel like it's going to clean it, and that's the best thing for it. It hurts for a second, but it's good for that wound. And that is not the case, as Jill just told us. So, okay. So one of the things that didn't come up here was blisters, because I think that's probably a pretty common summer injury. So should you pop a blister to get the fluid out, or let it heal naturally?
Well, that actually is a good question as well, because it really depends on the size of the blister.
Okay.
If you have a small blister that's maybe, the size of an eraser head or a penny, and it's only elevated a little off the skin, put a Band-Aid over it, protect it, and eventually the fluid in the blister will reabsorb.
Okay.
If you have a blister that is larger than the size of a silver dollar, and it's just lifting off the skin, filled with fluid, that is about the time you should go to see a professional and let us take care of it for you. You always want to avoid popping your own blisters, mostly because the instruments you probably have at home aren't sterile, and you could be introducing bacteria into the area. And the key thing is really prevention. Blisters can often occur from ill-fitting shoes that people wear in the summer. So my recommendation is make sure you wear shoes that fit appropriately. If you have something tight in the heel, put a Band-Aid on the heel as prevention so that blister won't occur.
Okay, and those are so painful. I just had a blister the other day because I went to a funeral and I wanted to wear some nice shoes, and I completely regretted it.
The nice shoes, always the challenge.
So go for comfort and safety, not style. All right, so how about, the wounds? I've often heard from people it's important to let it get air, but should you really let it get air, or should you always keep that wound covered or bandaged?
You should always keep a wound bandage. Okay. I have heard so many myths to this effect. Let it go to air, go walk in the ocean water with it, go in the pool with it, let it be exposed. All of those things are not really good. First of all, every time that a wound is open and you're exposing it to an element which you don't have any control over, such as the bacteria in the air, the organisms in the water, organisms that could be in a public pool, you take the chance that you will actually sustain an infection, and one that could get you pretty sick. So keep those wounds, keep those scrapes, keep them covered.
Okay, and that's, you just mentioned another question that I should have added on my list, about the salt water in the ocean, because so many people think that is good for healing, but you're saying no because there's so many other bacteria that are floating around in there.
Oh, absolutely. If you went to the American Academy of Dermatology website, they have a great piece on the different kinds of parasites that are in pools, lakes, beaches, and it really depends on the region of the country and how many issues they can cause with the skin. So you really want to be careful. And if you have a wound, you want to keep it covered.
Okay. And then one more, sort of fact versus myth or, clarifying question. Is it better to keep that wound moist or let it dry out? Because you mentioned the bacitration. I think that is for keeping it moist. So is it keep it moist?
It is. You don't want to keep it overly moist. You don't want to macerate it like what happens when you put your hands in dishwater for too long.
Okay.
You want to give it enough moisture so that the cells within the wound actually want to divide and help to fill the wound. If you let it dry out, the cells won't have an environment that's good for them to divide and heal. It'll actually end up causing more of a defect. And again, there is the opportunity for exposure to bacteria in the environment and a possible infection.
Okay. Really great tips. I definitely learned a lot and had some of the myths that I had learned in my years of growing up debunked. So thank you very much for that. Especially the one about the salt water in the ocean. I always thought that was really good for you. So thank you for clarifying that. Any other facts or myths you think we need to clarify as far as summer skincare?
No, just stick to the basics.
Okay.
Clean, loose-fitting clothing. Keep yourself nice and clean and free of sweat. Remember, after you work out, don't just go and hang out. Go take a shower and get your skin all nice and free of all that sweat and bacteria.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Sort of to summarize, we talked about the center in the beginning and, that you're there for many different types of wounds and even other conditions with the chambers. What's the process for getting an appointment at the clinic? Do you need a referral? Can you walk us through that?
The process for getting an appointment is pretty easy. I think the best thing that you can do, just give us a call. Every insurance is slightly different as to whether or not you need a referral. But we usually know exactly which insurances do what. Give us a call right at the wound center. The number is listed on the website for the hospital. Tell us what's going on, and we're going to help you get an appointment. And if you do need a referral, we'll contact your primary care provider to help secure that.
Okay, great. And is the first visit sort of like a consult or?
Oh, the first visit all depends on you and depends on what's going on. So our service is really personalized. We want to take a look at you, look at your wound, figure out your lifestyle, and come up with a treatment starting from when you sit in that exam room.
Okay. And I know that, many of our wound care patients are repeat patients, meaning they have to come back for a certain number of visits. And that's just because that wound is not going to heal overnight, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So anything else you want our community to know about the services that you offer, you and your team?
Well, I think we have a wealth of experience. Every single provider within the clinic, from the physicians to the nurses to the medical assistants, we have been all doing this for a long time, and those years of experience add up. We are people who are here to heal you. So please give us a call. I think you'll be glad that you did. It's a wonderful family environment. Even though we're doing wounds, we try to have fun when we're doing it and make the experience easy for you.
Okay. Well, Jill, thank you very much. You have enlightened so many of us today. Lots of great tips to think about as you're out and about, as the weather is getting warmer. We really appreciate your time and want to thank you and your team for all the great work that you do in helping our patients in the wound center.
Thank you.
And we will have you on again soon. Yay! All right, well, we want to thank Jill for being such an amazing guest today. What a wealth of knowledge. She has so much great information and expertise when it comes to, caring for your skin, caring for your wounds and your injuries. I learned so much. I hope that you did as well. We talked about a lot of great tips for protecting your skin in the summer months, and it was just a really great show. So thanks to Jill and thanks to her team in the Center for Wound Healing. As Jill mentioned, they are here and available to take care of any of your chronic or non-healing wounds. You can find more information about our Center for Wound Healing on our website, which is mortonhospital.org. Or you can also call the center. We have a great team who would be happy to chat with you and help you schedule an appointment or help you to get that referral if you require a referral from your primary care provider. Give our wound center a call. The number is 508-828-7780. Again, that's 508-828-7780. 7780 for our Center for Wound Healing here at Morton Hospital. Thank you again to Jill. Great show, and a lot of wonderful information covered. So when we come back, it's actually time for our last break. When we come back, as we usually do, we'll just share a few hospital updates. So if you want to hear about the latest happening here, maybe some upcoming events, stay with us for the last portion of today's show. But that concludes our interview portion with Jill Trelease. If you're tuning in late and you missed that whole interview, don't worry. We always post our shows and you can listen online through our Facebook page, facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA, and we will be posting that link up later this week. So it's time for our last break. Again, stay with us. We'll be right back with a few general hospital updates and some news on upcoming events. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more of Morton in the Morning in just a few moments here at WVBF.
Morton Hospital's nationally accredited Center for Weight Control has grown with the addition of Dr. Deepthi De Silva, our new Director of Medical Weight Loss Management. Our center now offers high-quality medical and surgical weight loss options close to home, with medical weight loss appointments now available in Taunton and Middleborough. To learn if you qualify for weight loss surgery or medical weight loss and to schedule a consultation, call our Center for Weight Control at 508-301-2434.
And now back to Morton in the Morning here at WVBF, Hometown Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the final segment of today's Morton in the Morning show. Before we get into some updates, a reminder how you can contact us here and give us some feedback. You can email mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. We'd love to hear if you're enjoying our shows, if you enjoyed today's show, if you have any follow-up questions, or if you want to make a suggestion for, a health and wellness topic or a doctor or staff or department you'd like to hear from in future shows, we would be happy to take your suggestions. We always welcome the feedback of our listeners, and we want to hear from you. If you're just tuning in, we did have a great show today. Our special guest was Jill Trelease, the Program Director for our Center for Wound Healing here at Morton Hospital. And we talked all about the services and treatment options provided by our wound center, as well as how to take care of your skin and avoid wounds and injuries during the hot summer months, because there are some wounds and injuries and things that happen that are more prevalent during the summer, such as blisters and heat rash, and foot injuries and all those things. So Jill provided a lot of great information, a lot of helpful tips, and if you want to hear those, but if you missed today's show, don't worry, it's not too late. You can listen online. We post all of our shows, a link to the shows on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA, or if you just log into Facebook and search Morton Hospital, you can find our page, and we'll have our show posted up there over the weekend. So thanks again to Jill. If you do want to find out more information, you can go to our website, mortonhospital.org, or call the Center for Wound Healing directly at 508-828-7780. That's 508-828-7780. Earlier in the show, I mentioned that the 2022 Best of the Best Community Choice Awards kicked off this week. It is the nomination period, and that runs through June 19th. And the nomination period is when you can go on and check out all the different categories that they want you to submit your nominations for. You can write in your nomination and submit it for each category. Last year, for the 2021 awards, Morton Hospital received 5 top awards in the different health and wellness categories, which we are so proud of. And we want to ask for our community to nominate us again. There are several different categories that you can nominate us in under the health and beauty section. And those categories are hospital, audiologist, hearing aid center, physical therapy clinic, and weight loss center. So please go to the Taunton Gazette website or the Brockton Enterprise website and scroll down until you see an advertisement for Best of the Best contest. They just ask that you submit when you submit your first nomination, you have to share your email and your name. And then that way you can log in with that same information to nominate in other categories or to vote once the voting period starts. So go onto those websites. You can find the Best of the Best contest, or you can find the link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA. And please nominate Morton Hospital and help us recognize our incredible staff in the 2022 Best of the Best Community Choice Awards. And this is for the Metro South region. So we have a few great community events coming up. Tomorrow evening, June 9th, we will actually be participating in the Manic Community Health Center's annual June Bloom fundraiser at Lombardo's. So great cause. We are a community sponsor of that event, and we are proud to support our friends and partners at Manic Community Health Center. And then this weekend, which we also mentioned in the last show, is the Rotary Club's annual Family Fun Day. That's a great family-friendly event, lots of exciting activities for both kids and adults. They have food, games, music, rides, things like that. And that is at the Boys and Girls Club camp up in the Miles Standish Industrial Park. And that event, even better, is free admission, so anyone can go to that event. And then a couple other events that we are sponsoring and participating in the coming weeks. Girls Inc. is doing a flight night on June 21st. It is at 5:30 p.m. and it is at the River House restaurant in Taunton. The flight night, it's $60 per ticket. It includes a flight of drinks. Your choice. There's a little selection of different menu options and appetizers. They also have some great baskets up for raffle, and it's on the River House patio with a rain date of Tuesday, June 28th. So that event is 21 plus. You can find information about that event on the Girls Inc. website or the Girls Inc. Facebook page. We look forward to being at that one. And then another golf tournament coming up. It is the Taunton Chamber of Commerce annual golf tournament fundraiser. And that event is Monday, June 27th from 11:30 a.m. Till whenever they're done, basically. It's a shotgun start at 12:30. It's at Segregansett Country Club. This is their 36th annual golf tournament, and Morton Hospital is proud to be the flag sponsor of that event, and we are a corporate sponsor of many other Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce events. We are so happy to support such a great organization. Chris and Lisa and the team do an amazing job, and we look forward to also having a foursome of players at that event and enjoying a great day of golf or a great day of also fundraising for the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce. And I believe they still have room available if any organizations or businesses or individuals out there would like to play at their tournament. You can find that information on the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce website, or again, also their Facebook page. And then lastly, we do a monthly weight loss surgery info session and support group here at Morton Hospital. Now it is actually a virtual event. We do it on the last Wednesday of every month from 3 to 4 p.m. And a member of our Center for Weight Control runs that meeting and provides some information. And that is for both people who are interested in learning more about medical or surgical weight loss options available at our Center for Weight Control, as well as folks who have already had surgery or are just looking to maintain their weight loss, because they do provide some great health and nutrition and weight management tips during those meetings as well. So again, that is virtual. The meeting is held via Zoom. If you go onto our website, mortonhospital.org, and click on the events page, you can also find that listed on Eventbrite. It is the weight loss surgery info session and support group, and the Zoom link is right on that page, but you'll also get it when you register, and we do recommend that you do register for those events so that we know you'll be participating, so we can make sure to sign on to that virtual meeting. Again, that's the last Wednesday of every month from 3 to 4 p.m. via Zoom. And that pretty much wraps up today's show. Again, to keep up to date with everything happening at Morton Hospital, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Morton Hospital MA. If you missed today's great show with Jill Trelease about summer skincare and summer wound and injury prevention, you can find it right on our Facebook page. We always post it. It'll be up there over the weekend. And we look forward to joining you again next week. In the coming weeks, we have some more great shows planned for you. In a couple weeks, we'll be chatting with Simone, who is a recruiter at the hospital here, who is a member of our human resources team. We'll be talking with Amy, who is the director of our emergency department, and talking about recruitment and career opportunities here at Morton Hospital in all of the departments, as well as specifically in the emergency department. We have some great information that will be shared by Amy and Simone for that show, so make sure you listen in. And again, if you ever have any suggestions on topics that you'd like to hear about on an upcoming show, you can reach out to us at any time at mortoninthemorning@steward.org. That is our email address. It's MORTON in the morning at STEWARD.org. And then lastly, today we talked about our Center for Wound Healing. And just to recap, if you want to get in touch with the Center for Wound Healing to make an appointment or request, that they track down a referral for you so you can be seen in the wound center if you have a chronic or non-healing wound, you can call them at 508-828-7780. Thank you again to our listeners. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you again to Jill for providing such great information to us today. And from all of us at Morton Hospital, we hope you have a happy and healthy week, and we look forward to joining you again next week. Have a great day. From all of us at Morton Hospital, thank you to our community for voting for us in the 2021 Best of the Best Community Choice Awards. We're honored to have been voted Best Hospital, Best Audiologist, Best Hearing Aid Center, Best Physical Therapy, and Best Weight Loss Center in the Metro South region. Learn more about our services and quality achievements at mortonhospital.org and follow us on Facebook to stay up to date on what's happening at your award-winning community hospital.